So we're here in Poland for the last stop on the Creative Dental European Tour, ET6, the Gdynia Open. I'm joined by Matt, ProSnookerBlog. You're here for the weekend. It's your first trip outside the UK.
Yeah, absolutely loving it. It's great to see different people, different food. Loving the place.
And the reason you're here is, it's crunch time this week, isn't it? A lot of things can happen in terms of the Players Championship, Tour Survival, and of course the World Grand Prix coming up. I mean, how important is it this weekend?
It's very much become snooker's deadline day, as regular followers will know. There's so much at stake now for so many players, and it's probably not wrong to say that for some players it's the most important event of the season.
So we're going to dive straight in there and sort of go to Tour Survival. I mean, Matt, what's going on down that bottom end of the table, and who are the sort of main movers this weekend?
Okay, so the most important thing to remember is that the top 64 players on the 2-year ranking list at the end of the season will retain their places. But for those players who miss out on that, there is a chance to gain a new 2-year tour card through the European Order of Merit. To do that, players need to finish in the top 8 players, not already in the 64, if that makes sense. And already looking at the list going into the last event, we can see who needs to perform well this weekend and who needs to win matches if they're to stay on tour.
Okay, so Matt, we're going to cut to a graphic now. I mean, on that list there, who's your sort of picks in there? Who are the main ones to watch there?
I think the most interesting is Anthony Hamilton, obviously former Crucible quarter-finalist several times. One of the best players never to win a ranking event, arguably the best. He begins against Joel Walker, who's one of the players actually above him, so it's very much a six-pointer in football terms, that one. And given his position on the provisional end-of-season list, on the ranking list, he's actually down in 73rd on that, so he's going to have trouble staying on the tour as part of the top 64. So this could be his best chance if he's to retain his place.
There's still all to play for in the next 3 days.
Absolutely.
So Matt, we're now going to look ahead to the Ladbrokes Players Championship coming up at the end of March. £100,000 top prize to play for. Just tell us a little about the qualification for that one.
Okay, so the top 24 on the European Order of Merit will qualify for the event, and you can see a graphic on the screen right now which just shows who's in the mix.
There's some pretty surprising names there, Selby, Bingham, Dot, Ebden, world champions.
Absolutely, and none of them are yet safe. Again, it's such a competitive series that they'll all be looking for the results that they need in Gdynia just to make sure of the places.
Are there any sort of key ones you think are at risk? Or?
I think Stuart Bingham, Peter Ebden. Peter Ebden's in the red zone at the moment, so he'll be targeting a good run. But yeah, there's a lot of players in there, and anyone outside of the group with a good run, outside of that group with a good run this week, could break in from nowhere. So lots to play for.
And with the Players' Championship, of course, there is an added complication. There's a combined list, isn't there?
Yeah, it's quite tricky, this, because with the Asian Tour event in Haining this year, the 2 winners from that event, Ding Junhui and Ricky Walden, have qualified, but then the extra 6 players to complete the 32-man lineup, they will be made up from a combined list, which includes prize money earned from 6 Creative Dental European Tour events, plus the Haining Open. So that's actually quite a different list.
So we're going to take a look at that graphic now, and Higgins in the red.
Absolutely, yeah. And that also includes money that he's already earned this week in Gdynia by getting a first-round bye. And it doesn't get any easier for him because he's got Mark Selby next up.
So your sort of predictions for key movements there? Is there anyone you sort of keeping your eye on that list?
I think Higgins is the one to keep an eye on. Obviously, 4-time world champion, his record speaks for itself. Otherwise, again, everyone can make... all is to play for. Anyone can make a run with nearly £20,000 available this week. Anyone can break into that bracket.
So the final battle of qualification this weekend is going to be for the Ladbrokes World Grand Prix on the 8th of March. £100,000 top prize again, but it's based on a different ranking system this time. It's a year's ranking system from the Australian Open until the Gdynia Open. And Matt, what are your sort of key picks for the movements in this one?
32 players will qualify, as you've said. 32nd at the moment is Scotland's Stephen Maguire, but he's just £125 ahead of Mark Joyce as it stands, so that's very, very tight down there.
It's extremely tight.
Absolutely. Stephen Maguire begins tomorrow. He plays Matthew Stevens in a very difficult match, former UK champion as well. And he'll be looking to build up as big an advantage as possible before Mark Joyce gets underway on Saturday. Other players could come into the mix. Peter Ebden's also in danger. He's currently 31st. Mark Davis currently just behind Joyce, but he needs a quarter-final at least to bring himself into contention. But yeah, lots to play for.
So that's pretty much rounded up the main qualification criteria for this weekend in Gdynia. But Matt, what are your sort of main matches this weekend to look out for?
I think some of the ones that we've mentioned, so obviously John Higgins against Mark Selby, that's a big match in any tournament, and especially here with both of them looking to wrap up their qualification for various tournaments. Anthony Hamilton takes on Joel Walker, again, very tough match. Both of them looking to secure tour places for next season. And again, Stephen Maguire and Mark Joyce, they are the 2 players to watch in respect to the Grand Prix, so they'll both be looking to make sure of their qualification.
So that's pretty much all the information you need for Gdynia this weekend, and I know it's a lot to take in, but if you make sense of that from this, that's absolutely fine. But if not, the information is on ProSnookerBlog's website. It's at ProSnookerBlog on Twitter. We're World Snooker 1. We'll be giving you updates all weekend. It's live on Eurosport, so tune in. From me and Matt, thanks a lot.
Thank you.